All right, didn't update the stream deck. Let's do that real quick. We're going to dive on in. We're kicking things off today with this red-white angels variation, which is interesting. So this is a more mid-range build of Feather. So we have Feather the Redeemed here, which says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature you control, exile that instead of putting it into your graveyard. If you do, put it back in your hand at the beginning of the next end step. So instead of being like all in on the Feather plan, we've got a couple of reasonable cards that are good with Feather here in God's Billing and Reckless Rage. And then at the core, this is just an Angels deck that also has Bishop of Wings as well as Lyra to give us some synergies for playing a bunch of Angels. So let's go ahead and dive on into some matches here and see how this one goes. If you ask for a timeout and you're a mod, your sword goes away automatically. Just as a heads up for mods in general. I think, in my opinion, cards like Surgical Extraction, Leyline of the Void, and Rest in Peace are cards that I would refer to as safety valves for Magic formats. And what I mean by that is these are cards that should exist in case you print an interaction that you're unaware of, but these are cards that if they are commonly played in your format has a fundamental problem that needs to be addressed. So like they give the players tools to like still kind of enjoy their format and play games if you miss something, but when those cards are played on the regular, especially in the main deck, your format needs a fundamental change. Hey, Vespilo1313, thank you for the brand new Prime Support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday wherever you are. Peak mid-range the Gathering. Keep reasonable 2-land hand on the play. Move to hand size and discard after drawing 3 and 4 drops for the first couple of draw steps. What was modern? A steaming, smoldering dumpster fire that I'm going to try and block out of my mind. Well. Okay. Next turn I get to play Feather and Reckless Rage of Forest. So if they're on blanks, we could be okay here. If they have like a Hydrate Crisis here, they can Crisis for 5, which is outside the range of this, so that's probably dead. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That land sucks because we have to keep playing. Yeah, I mean, if the rest of their hand isn't that good here at this point, we could be okay. Especially if we draw a land next turn and then draw a Lyra the turn after that, we're in a pretty reasonable spot. If we'd have hit our third land by 4 instead of having to wait till 5, we'd have been really okay here. Yeah, firm agree with Percy. People running Surgicals in their main decks is an issue with the format. It's not an issue with Surgical as a card. We are never beating a copy of Mass Manipulation here. Sure. Good call, Branch.
Behold, nature's
Uh, so there's definitely copies of Deafening Clarion in our main deck here. So if we draw one of those Clarions, we can Reckless Rage this Clarion, clear the board. And then, like, maybe Second Feather can clean up from there. Yeah, actually, the game was actually incredibly close when you consider the fact that we discarded a hand size on 4 and didn't have a third land until 5. Yeah, we needed our land to happen a turn sooner. Clarion sounds great against their Nissa deck. Binding sounds great. Immortal Sun sounds fine. Adanto Vanguard sounds pretty bad here. We're probably not going to be attacking them on the ground. I think I want to trim a couple of bishops just because Honor Guard stops its life gain from triggering anyways. Trimming a God's Willing is probably fine. The only thing it's really good against is, exactly Mass Manipulation. Yeah, that's an important note on joining the Sub-Discord server. To join the server initially, you have to be on a desktop computer. You're using the desktop version of Discord in your browser. Once you're in the server, you can access the server from mobile just like any other. Yep, hoping to draw a white source. Are there solar blazes in our sideboard that I didn't board in? I'm confused why we're talking about solar blaze. There's no solar blazes in our deck. Oh, is it a cast trigger? I just assumed it was an enter the battlefield trigger. No, a bishop is an enter the battlefield trigger. Don't make me doubt myself. Don't make me doubt myself. Can I just draw any untapped lands here, please? God bless us, everyone. This even blocks the 3/4s from Nissa, which is great. I believe we have died. Interloper. Esper's not very popular, Burgle. The various Field of the Dead decks give Esper control a really hard time. Yeah, I think they have another Ugin in their hand. I think you're right. Yeah, there also aren't a lot of counter spells in the format. Deal. So I think I'm just going land Immortal Sun next turn.
The land fights for us.
Would you like to throw away a land? Well, you can't attack with that. Alright, am I just supposed to be Reckless Raging their stuff here? Maybe I'm just supposed to be Reckless Raging their stuff. Yeah, that's probably the line. They probably thought they could attack with it. Here's why they activated it. Am I gonna do this? Nah, I think I'm just gonna say no attacks here. Because if they want to ult this Nissa, I just kill a land in response, and they have like 1/3/3 that can't be killed, and that seems fine from there. It like gives them a bunch of lands, but I'm kind of okay with that. And if they have another in hand, they get 2 3/3s before I Immortal Sun them, so I think that's also okay.
The land will help us find a way.
Theode Anarchist, thank you for the 13 months of support. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are. So this gets punished by mass manipulation. I find Team Constructed kind of tilting, personally, but that's just me.
I protect that which cannot protect itself.
Alright, so they're dead in the air next turn. So we get to pump this for 2/2. Alright, that's pretty sweet. Maybe I do want the third God's Willing in my deck since they're a manipulation deck. This Bishop of Wings is probably largely unnecessary. Shalai's also a good anti-manipulation card, which is nice. Sweet. Clarion on the draw is pretty good here. Instead of just, like, being negative on my opponent's played Gilger Lucas, can you instead be constructive and specific? If you wanna point out a mistake my opponent made, that's always welcome, but just, like, generically saying, haha, they're bad, or, like, they messed up, like, that's not really helpful. Like, Magic has a lot of things going on, and it's very easy to make mistakes. But I prefer if we're constructive with the feedback on this channel. People frequently go back and watch the matches that they've played against me. Can we hit a third land on 3 at some point this match? That's excellent. So let's just, I'm just gonna trade these here. Just like kill this Risen Reef. I'm notably missing second white here with our current mana base, which is awkward. Hit monkey. This is like the monkey's paw. Hit our third land on 3, right? You hit your third land on 3, but it doesn't let you cast most of your spells. Cloud Concealer's okay. 3 mana. There's just a lot of good 3 mana cards in Standard. Yeah, we're saving all of our run goods for our matches on the ladder later, right? I mean, they literally cast a second Nissa that game. I just had an Immortal Sun. Hey, Chirad, thank you for the tier 1 sub. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. You're having a wonderful day wherever you are.
I'm in need of rest.
Okay. Yep. I mean, that's how Magic goes sometimes. It's gonna be a lot of games you play in this game where none of your decisions matter and you just die, and that's just a part of Magic. That's not exclusive to Standard, it's not exclusive to Modern, it's not exclusive to Limited. Like, that's just a fundamental, integral part of Magic as a game. Is even when your deck is reasonable, there's gonna be games you just like never see your extra land. Or you see too many lands, etc. Decisions are just like outside of your control. The important thing to remember is that, like, as you play lots of games of Magic, there's going to be games on the opponent's side that balance out in your favor, too. There's going to be games that you win because your opponent couldn't do anything as well. Magic is a teaching tool for dealing with life. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Life is a high variance game as well. In life, it is very, very possible to make all the correct decisions and end up in a very poor spot based on where you've started from. Turn 1, Gutter Bones. Gutter Bones off of Godless Shrine. Some kind of black-white aristocrats, perhaps? Mardukats. Clarion's probably gonna look pretty good. Clarion, my wayward son, there'll be peace when you are gone. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. So if they have a Judith here, we take 7, and then we take 3. Okay, so we're taking 5, 6 total this turn. And then we're taking 2 more next turn, so we're going to end up at 10. 10's not a terrible place to stabilize. Light them up. They're on fire. Bishop of Wings is actually a pretty good draw here, because it'll help stabilize our health total. That song is definitely peak Supernatural. You're not wrong. Don't mind me just taking out the trash. So Next turn, we get to go Bishop into Feather, gain 4. Which, that probably locks the game up. Looking for a Lyra. Definitely not in the market for a Vanguard in a matchup like this. Huh? Alright, that draw means I'm gonna take this slow. Especially with the God's Willing in my hand here too. Feather Rage God's Willing is sweet. This build's really interesting because it's like it's leveraging the really good parts of Feather. Like the Feather Rage God's Willing, like that aspect, while also having like a reasonable angel package. Kinda into what this deck is doing. Okay, we got pretty unfortunate in the first game that we played. Vanguard's very easy cut against an aggro deck here. I'll bring in like 1 binding, so it's more exile removal. This seems fine. Yeah, I agree, Bunny. And like, Rage and God's Willing are like pretty okay cards on their own, even when we don't draw a Feather, right? Because like, we have a lot of powerful creatures that we don't mind protecting from removal spells here and there. Of course, Clam. We live to please. Stand sweet. Yeah, that's true. Rage is an excellent combat trick alongside Lyra. Yep, not super surprised to see the rest here, but even losing the Lava Coil, our curve here is still excellent with Bishop into Feather. Yeah, God's Willing sounds great. Sign me up. Fourth Lyra is probably a good suggestion. I think that's probably reasonable, Watercat. They're pretty aggressive, right? I think you're right. That's an oversight. Was that a good draw, chat? What do we think? How do we feel about that one? Bye, friends. I also think Deafening Clarion is in a uniquely good spot in the format right now. I think it's very, very good against not only Scape Shift, but also a lot of these aggressive decks like vampires and things. What was that combo that used Bishop? That's Kaikar combo, which you can find in the meme section of the standard decks on my website. Have a good night, Matuna. Matuna. What's been our favorite meme deck of late? You know, we played a couple of good ones recently. I'd recommend just like checking. I just mentioned the meme deck on my standard page on my site. I recommend just checking that out. All right, 1 and 1. Slow and steady. This seems fine. Yeah, I agree, Lucas. Any deck that's sad to see Clarion is probably going to be a pretty good matchup for this archetype. What does Kaikar do with the infinite mana? The list on my site doesn't do anything with the infinite mana, but you also gain an arbitrarily large amount of life, which is enough to beat most decks in Standard. If you wanted to dump for infinite mana, you could play like Banefire or Scraggan Hellkite, but I don't think that's particularly necessary. Yep, that's also true too. If you get two bishops out, you can make an arbitrarily large number of 1/1 spirits to attack with as well, which is usually good enough. The initial list, if you watch the video on the site, we actually played a list with Banefire, and Banefire was just like consistently felt clunky and unnecessary, so I ended up cutting it. Phoenix, eh? Hoping to draw a Lyra here ASAP. She's definitely one of our best tools in this matchup. Vanguard. Vanguard on 2 is one of the better plays we can have against this Phoenix deck, because they really just can't kill it. Sans like Entrancing Melody post board. If we hit any Angel this game and gain 8 with it, that's probably going to be enough that they can't race it. Yeah, Siren, the Kaikar combo deck that we're talking about does exactly that. It just adds in the card Kaikar to give you infinite health. They can block it pretty well, though, to a degree. We have red removal in our deck, too, so, like, we can usually fight through that. No problem. Fight through a Crackling Drake, no problem. Wouldn't be too surprised to see them flip a Phoenix into play here, but I'm also, like, attacking for 5 every turn, and they're down to 13, so we're pretty far ahead in the race if they just put 1 bird into play. If they have a second bird and attack for 6 this turn, they might be able to keep up with a little bit of burn. Yeah, it's kind of tedious to click through on Arena, but if you're looking for something sweet in paper or you don't mind a lot of clicking on Arena, it's a fine combo deck. Alright, so 1 bird is coming back. Caw-caw! Angel, please. So, because I have double God's Willing here, and I wouldn't mind scrying, I'm actually just going to go ahead and give this pro red. I'm going to bottom that. I'd rather draw a spell than a tapped land next turn. So, they can very likely bring this bird back next turn, but if my opponent wins this game, it's probably going to be by racing me, so I'd rather God's Willing there than pay 4 health to make it more difficult for them to race me. If we manage to draw an untapped land next turn, the Immortal Sun means we're attacking for 8. Which is pretty good. That's a second bird, and they have this radical idea, so if they have, like, another bird and a 1-mana spell, we could get triple Phoenix this turn and then be in a little bit of trouble in terms of the race lining up in our favor. Would love to draw any Angel and gain 8 here, as well as have a flying blocker. Anything other than Resplendent Angel blocks Phoenix profitably, which is nice. If we're really lucky, they don't have a 1-mana spell here and they can't get their stuff back. Yep, they have Finale of Promise, though. That's pretty good. think I just attack like this. They kill me from 16 next turn, I'd be really surprised. And I have 2 draws to find an angel to gain 8. I think lost to Nissa is an incorrect statement. We lost to never having a fourth land by 3 games in a row. Yeah, we tried to play the 5-color Niv Mizzet deck that's posted some 5-0s, and unsurprisingly, it was a dumpster fire. Tomorrow we're playing Jeskai tempo though. So I'm looking forward to getting some match wins in Modern for the first time in a little while. That sounds exciting. Maybe Mage Cub. That is part of why I put a stop on my upkeep. I mean, I don't think the Jeskai deck is just dead to Gawk. Like, it certainly doesn't have a good matchup, but I don't think you're like 0% to win between Path and Surgical and Ashiok. So giving this protection from red makes it unblockable, and I'd really like to scry here, because if we hit a Lyra or a Shalai or just like any angel, we're in an incredibly good spot. Never didn't have it. Now that being said, the fact that I burned that God's Willing aggressively does mean they can kill my angel, which is a little bit sad. But I am still at least gaining 4 here, so I've got that going for us. And if they kill this, I get a flying blocker, which is also good. No, I don't think Meldex are viable. As long as Nexus of Fate's a card that's running around, they're extra bad on top of all the other issues that they face on just like not being fast enough or interactive enough. Reckless Rage. Were those good draws, chat? What do we think? Those two. Scale of 1 to 10. How do we feel about those? Above average, maybe? Oh no, are we about to get double spell pierced? I think we're about to get double spell pierced. Yikes. Yikes. That's unfortunate. Do I offer Lyra for Crackling Drake here? What happens if I attack like this? If I attack like this, and they triple block Lyra, they die. They could have this eat this eat here, this eat here. Yeah, I'm aware Lyra has first strike, chat. Oh, she's a 6/6. She's not a 5/5. You're right. She would kill 2 of these. All right, she's a 6/6. I got you. I'm picking up what you're putting down. The details matter. The Immortal Sun changes things. It's not that she's first strike, it's that she has 6 power in first strike, chat. Normally, normal stock Lyra trades on this board. Stock Lyra on this attack trades with the Phoenix. All right, so this is the first matchup we played today where Clarion is not particularly good. So let's go ahead and cut that one. Fry, Lava Coil, Extra Lyra are excellent. What do I want to cut here? I feel like a lot of our cards are really good. I think I'm supposed to trim Immortal Sun. I know like it was okay there, but I feel like against the Spell Pierce deck, this card's kind of a liability, right? It's gonna pull a Hoagland a lot of the time and not be good enough. How do we feel about Bishop of Wings? The health from it is like kind of okay, but it doesn't block, right? I actually think Vanguard is quite good here because Vanguard is a card that's difficult for them to kill. And if you look at my deck, I'm boarding in a bunch of removal spells. So if I'm like killing all of their things, having one threat left over that's impossible for them to deal with is very powerful. I think this is just an all Doomblades on deck matchup. My opponent's deck does not have a large amount of threat density, so if I'm always able to exile or kill whatever they put into play, we're in a very good position. I mean, I could also just, like, exile their Phoenixes, though, Panza. Like, for instance, I think Bishop is much worse than just, like, a removal spell. Yeah, this is great, right? Vanguard, Feather, Rage, Binding. This can help us scry into a 4th land. I think I'm supposed to bottom that there. Just like want to hit my 4th land drop on 4. Yeah, scry lands are super powerful. Do you have a burb? The third point on Anger versus Cry is a big deal, especially in a format where Nissa is making 3/3s. I agree. Feather is a pretty solid 4-drop. I'm gonna attack here, and if they block, I'm just gonna let them trade. I'm leading on Angel here because I think whatever is the first flying thing I'm likely to play out here is going to die. However, the downside here is Lightning Strike. So Feather would not die to Strike there if they have it. So that's like some of the appeal of playing Feather there instead. We played the Scry land on 1 and scryed a non-land to the bottom. Hopefully we hit our 4th land next turn. There's almost certainly some Bacon Bolts in their deck. It's generally a staple. That's pretty good. Can we please hit a land? Please hit a land. One land, please. Oh, that exiles and makes Scary Terry a little bit less scary. That's good, I guess. Perfect. That's extra perfect, because it means I can do this and then Reckless Rage and get it back. Doing this now, because they're a Spell Pierce and potentially Dive Down deck. Incoming Scryland, that would have been, yep. What happens when they don't ban back Gak, because WotC can't ban cards, they're still selling Modern Horizons. Even if they don't ban Gak, they're gonna ban something, isn't tough. And like, until they ban something, Modern's effectively a dead format, so I'd prefer to play this rather than a Modern format that basically has a shelf life. Hogok's only $5. Yeah, I'd believe that. Rares usually don't drive the price of boosters. They didn't have a second Phoenix here, so that's good for us. Do you have a Lava Coil with which to kill this? So yeah, just got tempo scheduled yesterday, but didn't upload a video to YouTube. Yeah, I had a personal thing come up yesterday morning, and I didn't go live till so I didn't end up going live till like 11 a.m. Yeah, my sequencing here is kind of bad. I should have just killed this and hit them for 3. Hit them for 6. Yeah, I should have just done that and hit them for 6. That was really bad. That kind of tells you all you need to know about MTG Finance. That Hogok is $5 and Force of Negation is 40. Just like how little sense it makes. It's a pretty big mistake, honestly, because they'd be at 6, which means they'd be dead on board next turn. I was thinking in my mind that I didn't want to have my Feather die to a shock. Renin 6 is 90, yep. Yeah, I feel like the people who think Renin 6 are playable, they must be playing a different format than I'm playing. Because that's not been my experience so far. Yeah, for the most part, Numza, I agree with that. Alright, so we're not just dead here, but we're in a worse spot than if I had been more aggressive on the previous turn. It's really powerful on Legacy. Yeah, Legacy really isn't popular enough to set card prices. Like high demand from a small amount of players is like, you know. That's a crappy reason why pumpkins. My least favorite part about Magic the Gathering are the arguments that surround we can't do X, Y, or Z because it'll negatively impact the market. So I didn't Reckless Rage in response there because I didn't want my opponent to be able to cast another spell. And then... yeah, we might be dead here. Hey, Sizzle. Glad you're enjoying it. Alright, if we can fade a Bacon Bolt here, we'll be okay. And remember, I missed 6 points of damage this game through missequencing, so like... Gotta fade removal spells here, but if we do, we're in a great spot. Wizards, we don't errata cards, Theo. Especially not power level errata. And my dead opponent? Peak magic. Tank, kill you. Tank, kill you. And remember, I messed up that game, right? If I had been more aggressive, I would have killed my opponent. That's fine. We can take the next game on the plate. Yeah, the finance part is the worst part about Magic. And honestly, it's one of the biggest upsides to Magic Arena, which is that it's completely divorced from finance. Yeah, playing paper modern's even more rough than playing digital modern too, because like when you get slaughtered by Hagak, or even slaughter it with sideboard cards, like you have to wait 45 minutes between your matches, right? How many times has Time Vault been errata to try and make it work the way they wanted it in the rules? I don't know, actually. Yeah, I agree. As an adult who can admit when they were wrong, I was initially against the economy on Arena, and I actually think the economy on Arena is very reasonable. My biggest complaint with the economy on Arena is that the amount you need to spend to get specific things is confusing and unclear a lot of the time, but the actual price that you end up paying to get specific things is often very reasonable. Haskow, thank you for the very generous tier 2 resub and for the 22 months at that. Be sure to take a peek at the deck queue and let me know what you'd like to see a little bit sooner up there. Thanks for keeping me around. The Raptor is banned in Standard because we don't unban cards in Magic the Gathering. Honestly wouldn't be surprised if they banned it preemptively in Historic too, because that seems to be what they do. What's my take on buying wild cards for X dollars? I think it would make Wizards a lot less money, but it would be more friendly for the players, obviously. So, Wizards is going to take the decision that makes them more money almost every time. They're a for-profit company in a capitalistic society. While I don't think we'll ever see them let you just buy wild cards directly, I think one thing that would be nice on Arena is I wish they would give you the option to like buy a land pack. I think the biggest complaint I hear from players is, one, it feels bad to spend wild cards on rare lands, and there's just a lot of them. So if they gave players the option to like pay X amount of dollars just like get a full set of dual lands, like the set releases, like, you know, there's 20 dual lands in the set for 10 or 15 bucks or whatever it costs, you get all of them. I think that would be a reasonable approach. It's not you can buy any wild card, any wild card, but you can buy these specific things that you need for most decks. I think that's like a good middle ground between like getting people the things they need to play things. Bump blue-white historic, please. We'll do Haskow. Spice Land, thank you for the 7 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. I feel like a land bundle would encourage people who have never spent money before to spend that initial amount of money. As someone who has 200 rare wild cards and only 10 mythic wild cards, I would love to be able to convert wild cards between each other too. Yeah, like every time a set releases, just have like a $10 or $15 bundle that gives you a playset of all the rare lands, all the rare duels. The bumps for subs are for tier 2 and tier 3 subs. The name just got lost in the scroll, sorry. But the bumps for bumping things in the queue is for tier 2 and tier 3 subs. Bishop would be absurd here. This hand's a little bit slow on the draw, obviously, but Resplendent into Shalai into Lyra could maybe get us out of this. That being said, we're not really interacting, so there's a non-zero chance like my opponent has a reasonable draw and we just die on 5 here. Yeah, the way you acquire cards on Magic Arena is very whale friendly, but it's not friendly to people who are spending more minimal amounts of money. Double Wizard Lightning. I think we're dead. I think we've died. I need to draw like Clarion this turn, and even then that might not be enough. Vomit. Yeah, we're just actually dead on turn 4. And in like defense of the red deck being fine, like we actually just didn't do anything, right? Cast 0 spells, concede. There's a reasonable argument that my hand should have been mulliganed that game. If they were playing something mid-range, it would have been fine, but in the event they were playing anything aggressive, we were going to get run over like we just did there. I need 4 cuts here. Is it crazy to trim God's Willing in this matchup? I feel like I'm going to have a hard time holding this card up. Reckless Rage is also a little awkward, because like I have to have something in play, and like it lets them team up 2-for-1 to kill my things. Maybe it's just Reckless Rage that's the trim. Just like trim down on those. I think I like that. Clarion's excellent in this matchup because not only is the sweeper mode good, but like giving your things lifelink if you've already stabilized the board gets you on a bird range. How do I buy a wild card for $6? Every 6 booster packs you buy, Hippity, you get a guaranteed wild card. and you randomly get wild cards in pack. So at most, wild cards cost $6 a pop. What's going on, Bob? Thanks for the 32 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. This hand's a little bit slow, but we're on the play this time. Lava Coil's a pretty good pickup here. Hey, what's going on, Turnpike Bear? Thank you for the 2-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Can we script the banner rotation to show the 3-mana Teferi counter when there's one in the field? Technically, that is feasible. From a practical standpoint, it would be too much effort, but I could technically do that. Should Teferi Hero of Hearthstone be banned? Yeah, I would. I think it generates awful games of Magic. I attacked with this here because they have a Lava Coil to kill this anyway, so I might as well get my 3 points of damage in. Really? That's bold. I would like to gain 4, thank you. You put Voracious Hydras in Yarak Field. I don't, like, you have to trim other top end to make that work is the issue. And I'm not sure that that's better than other top end that we have. Opponent giving it the old college try here. So, do you have a way to kill my Lyra, or is this game over? Excellent. The red matchup's probably pretty reasonable for this archetype if I had to venture a guess. Although, we're going to mulligan a little bit more aggressively when we're on the draw here for some cheaper interaction. Demystify for Frenzy? Nah, I don't think so. I think we just beat Frenzy by playing Lyras a lot of the time. It's going alright, Cajun Guy. Modern was a pretty typical dumpster fire. Standard's been going pretty reasonably. This deck seems sweet. This hand is excellent here. I think I'm going to keep that land, because I think I want to play Bishop of Wings with God's Welling Up, and then play Resplendent Angel with God's Welling Up. So having the guaranteed 4th land here seems appealing. Let's just nip that in the bud before it goes anywhere scary. Clarion, my wayward son, there'll be peace when you are gone. Lay your weary head to rest, don't you cry no more. Happy second Monday. How does that work? You know, I wish I could have 2 Mondays instead of a Monday and a Tuesday sometimes. Because, for whatever reason, my viewer numbers are always low on Tuesday and they're always high on Mondays. Goons, thank you for the 12 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. Not sure if I'm ready for the spot responsibility. With great power. On Tuesday, I have to do all the work I didn't do on Monday. Fair. It's my Hoogleversary. Thank you for the 3/4 of a year. Peel, welcome back. Game 4 feels amazing, man. What if I told you the gods didn't want that one to happen? I think I'm in for that. When you're trying to net deck and your opponent plays Bishop of Wigs, right, Bob? There were 2 mono red decks in the MPL this week, right? Yeah. I think even if they hit, yeah, that was a gain 9, right? Because we gained 5, then we gained 4 here. Bye, Felicia. He really is, Nivik. Day9, I frequently describe Day9, he's like the Mr. Rogers of Twitch. Just very, very genuine, happy, just upbeat almost all of the time. The MPL is 8 people trying to metagame each other. It really is, Bob. It really is. Does that make you Bill Nye? Maybe we do a lot of science on this channel. Yeah, Day9's like one of the OGs. I think he's the longest partnered channel on Twitch, if I recall correctly. I think he was the first one to hit a 100 month sub. So, Corel, for people who aren't familiar, and pointing things out like this is why Wizards doesn't work with me. For people who missed this tweet, I'll pull it up here. So, Twitch has what's referred to as an API where you can look at data. So, this was the MPL stream on Saturday. There were 18,000 viewers, but only 3,000 of them were in chat and 15,000 were not logged in. Now, if we compare this to the Overwatch League going on at the same time, they had 80,000 people with 60,000 in chat. And compare it to the Riot Game stream at the same time, they had 120,000 people with 78,000 in chat. And now, for people that don't understand what the in-chat versus not in-chat means, that just means viewers logged in while watching the stream. And what that big differential implies is that a lot of those viewers on the MPL stream weren't what we refer to as organic viewers. They were people who likely had the MPL stream autoplay for them as a video ad on some website that they were watching. So the stream was playing on the computer, but that person wasn't seeking out to watch Magic and probably wasn't paying attention. We refer to that as embedding in Twitch, and that's technically not against the terms of service, so people do it to inflate their numbers. because having bigger Twitch numbers to report are things that people like Hasbro executives can brag about on their reports to their shareholders to make the baseless claim that Magic's a top 10 esport, right? Technically not illegal makes the world go round. Ain't that the sad truth? Furious Squirrel, thank you for the 20 months of support there. Sorry. Welcome back. And that, ladies and gentlemen, gives you a little bit of insight into how this goes on. Did you consider waiting for the second bishop? You know, I probably should have, huh? Because I have a bunch of Resplendent Angels. Yeah, I think you're right. I'm kind of hoping to draw a land and go bishop plus Adanto here. But that didn't work out, unfortunately. I assume those are peak numbers and the not logged in is a snapshot at the same time. Those aren't peak numbers. That was just at a random point on... They were taken within the same 5-minute time period. So the total number isn't the important part about those screenshots so much as the ratios. The ratios of what you see there is the most important thing. And at the end of the day, at the end of the day, the thing you need to remember is that competitive Magic has never been the thing that makes Magic go round. There's a reason why some of the most popular Magic streams are people like me and Noxious and other people who are like have a more casual focus around things, right? Like, we don't mind winning on occasion too, but like we're not just like grinding the spike decks, right? Yeah, even Caleb, like Caleb's a very good Magic player and has a good resume too, but like even his stream has a more focus on doing fun and interesting things, right? I don't think that was their intention. Great. You know. Oh, MySpace. Why aren't I in your top 8? Aren't I your friend? Oh, that takes me back. If we draw a couple of running lands here, this is definitely going to be a good game. They could, that's true, actually. If they have a mass manipulation here, everything we've done doesn't matter. Can they yoink our whole board? 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, I think we're about to lose our whole board. They can take everything but one bishop here. Yeah, they're clicking on our stuff. I believe they have 14 mana and can take 5 things here. And this is a great example. So a lot of these mass manipulation decks have actually fallen off a little bit. And these mass manipulation decks are actually a big part of what made this archetype that I'm playing like pretty unplayable for a lot of last season. So I actually think this style of deck is a lot better than it once was, but it's still gonna have a really bad matchup against like what my opponent's deck is doing. Basically anytime they draw mass manipulation, we're probably dead to rights. That being said, we are occasionally going to be able to get under them or like kill their mana dorks. Like a well-placed Deafening Clarion can definitely be backbreaking and game winning, especially if they've activated Nissa a turn or two. Yeah, Shalai can do it. If we can pressure their mana a little bit, a God's Willing can prevent them from taking one of our key things, and then like we can play through them taking one or two others on occasion. What does dead to rights mean? I don't actually know where that term originates from, but the context in which I use it means that, like, you're dead and there's no outs. Honestly, and this is... Dead to rights, originally New York City criminal slang, generally meant dead completely and utterly. Okay, yeah, look at that. Look at that. My context is correct based on what the internet agrees upon. Now, one thing that could be an interesting consideration for this deck, if you wanted to play this archetype and you're expecting to see a number of mass manipulations, a green splash might not be unreasonable to enable playing more copies of Shalai, which is good against mass manipulation, and you could board in Tristani as a way to fight them taking your stuff. Yeah, you could also play Veil of Summer. I think I'd rather have Tristani on average, though, just because Veil of Summer requires you to not only hold up a thing, but, like, I'd like to be able to draw Tristani off the top and take my stuff back, essentially.
I'm known for my excellent timing.
59 weeks, 2 days, 14 hours, 45 minutes, and 35 seconds until Teferi the Time Rattler rotates, but not that I'm counting. Not that I'm counting. I don't know. The problem with like playing Veil against Esper is just like this dude, right? Like this guy's just like nice Veil of Summer. Good luck, Godspeed. You might not be counting, but we definitely are. God bless. Binding on 3-mana Teferi, maybe? I don't know. I think I'd rather binding the Deputy and then plan to attack the 3-mana Teferi. Is that a line? Because, like, if you bind the Teferi and it has fewer than 3 loyalty when you bind it, if they get it back, it's like coming in with a loyalty bonus, right? Witness the ties that bind us all. I mean, they also have Deputy Detention, though, so I agree binding Deputy or Teferi is probably ideal. So I think I'm gonna bind Deputy and then attack Teferi down here. It's a good one to have on top. Only time will tell. How many people can my house sleep? My basement is pretty big. Space is cheap in the middle of the cornfield, so like, big houses are pretty common. Hoaglandia Con. I don't think we're quite... the finished square feet of my house, I think, is 3,200. And And there's another room that's currently unfinished down in the basement. Yikes. Yeah, we talked about this somewhat recently. The sizing of houses where I'm at. Like, when Christy and I were looking at things, there were some things, like, in similar price points that what we paid for this that were, like, 4,000 and 5,000 square feet, and we were just like, this is just, like, too much space. Why would I want to heat and cool this much space? Just, like, at a certain point, it's, like, unnecessary. You probably even argue what I have now is one or two rooms unnecessary, but we like the location. What I want to do here, I feel like I want to Prison Realm the Nissa, and then like play Resplendent Angel. From NYC, 3,200 square feet is unthinkable. Yeah. I mean, like, to give a comparison, like, the house I grew up in the Chicago suburbs was, like, 1,300 square feet. Which, even that's probably pretty big compared to a lot of places in NYC. What's going on, Fam Squid? Good morning. How do we beat the Hydra? This gives lifelink. We just race. So I don't have good attacks here because this is a 5/5, unfortunately. That's a mansion in NYC. Yep. I'd believe it. I think I'm running the no blocks here. Yeah, it really is a fine pickup. When I trained for Dell out in Boston, I talked to guys who lived there about my house in Indiana. They said my small house was 3 to 4 times the price I paid for it. It was crazy. Yeah. That's one big upside about the Midwest for sure. I have not had anybody add the Bant Soul Herder deck to the queue, but that's definitely one I'd be willing to take. So we gain 7 here, and then this makes a 5/5. If they attack with this here, I think I'm going to stack block, Feather, Aurelia, and this. Although maybe not. Maybe I just go to 1 and then like start attacking back with these. Yeah, I'd probably just go to 1 actually. Or like dead to mass manipulation at any point here. He says as his opponent starts mousing over every one of his cards. Yep. So that went about as I would expect it to go. I think the mass manipulation decks have always been a really hard problem for this archetype. In fact, the fact that the format has moved more towards Scapeshift decks and the Scapeshift decks get cleaned up by Deafening Clarion has been a big boon to this archetype because this archetype can kind of keep up with those big mana decks better than than it used to in the past compared to the mass manipulation configurations. Like I said, I think also the best way if I wanted this deck to try and attack the mass manipulation decks, like if I was dead set on playing this archetype but I wanted more game there, I think I would splash some amount of green, even just like 10 green lands, and I would play more Shalai, and green mana not only lets us activate Shalai, who's just like a good card against manipulation because they can only take her when she's out, but it would also allow us to play cards like Tristani or potentially Veil of Summer in the sideboard to be able to interact with those manipulations on another axis as well. But overall, I think if you're expecting a lot of like mono red and vampires, a deck like this is very reasonable. I would expect it to struggle against things like mass manipulation and Nexus of Fate though. This was the first standard deck of the day. For people who are a fan of standard, for the next couple of weeks, my standard's going to be starting a little bit earlier because modern, if you don't follow that, is kind of a crap show right now. Ooh, this is the most valuable thing you can open as a meme streamer. Modern's kind of a crap show right now, so I'm only doing one modern deck in the mornings. So standard's going to be starting a little bit earlier, probably about 8:30 or 9 a.m. Or today, if modern is a total dumpster fire, it only takes about an hour. Somewhere between 8 and 9, most likely. Let's update the Stream Decker. The Gax Show.